As we're looking at dividing polynomials, major idea today is to look for terms that are missing. That's our major concept today. And so as we're going to practice long division again, for those of us who are, there's a little bit of a struggle in it, it's not a big deal. We're going to kind of continue to practice on this same thing, so hopefully that should be very straightforward. But I want to illustrate this first by this. Slide over your sheet to the left-hand side, and I'd like you to write down the number 207. Please write that number down. Not in words, but with numerical symbols. Please write down the number 207. Then write down the number 3,016. Write those two numbers down. All right, I know this seems a little bit trivial, but Haley, what did you write down for the first one? 207. I would agree. Hannah, what did you write down for the second one?
3,016.
Okay. Would we all agree that the three digits are necessary to write the number 207? And 3,016, the four digits are necessary. There's no way that I'm ever going to write this like that. True? All right. Why do we need that zero? What is it? It holds a value. It pushes the 2 out to the hundreds position. So with that in mind, take a look here. When we have a problem, we need to make sure that we've put a placeholder, Justin, in every single position that's possible. So if the highest part of our problem has cubes, then we need to have something that squares, and something with x's, and then a constant. Okay, so we always need to have something, and I'll put a C for constant. We always need to have placeholders in there when we're doing long division. Now it might be, Luke, that one of those is missing. So if the x squared column is missing, where the x squared is, you put that space and you put in 0x squared. Or if the x is missing, you put in 0x. So it has a placeholder. So when we're doing our long division, we don't skip it. Josh?
Why isn't he x cubed squared?
Because the same reason we need the 0 in the 3016, we need to have that placeholder. Otherwise, when we do our division, it's not going to add up correctly. All right? For example, if I said 3016 divided by 14, and I did this long division. Thank you. If I did this long division, you would never do that, would you? You've got to have that 0 in there, true? You've got to have this. All right, so when we do long division, you've got to have your placeholders in place. That's not the square root. Sorry, division. Okay? So, here we have our first problem. Let me kind of show you what we're walking through here. I've got 4x squared, 4x cubed, and then notice, what am I missing here? I'm missing the squared, and so I'm going to put in a 0x squared plus 5x minus 3. So that's my new part that's inside the division sign. And on the outside, I have 2x minus 1. So now that I have it written correctly, I can do my long division just like normal. So we ask ourselves the question, 2x times what is 4x cubed? What do we get? 2x squared. All right? So our next step, Tara, is we multiply the 2x squared times the 2x. And we get what? Okay? Then we multiply the 2x squared times the negative 1. And we get negative 2x squared. So there's our first step. Now we switch colors. Get your other color out. Draw your line. And go through and do what to both terms? Change the signs and subtract. So that becomes a minus. And that becomes a plus. Now we add them up. No x cubes. How many x squares? 2. Bring down the 5x, and we do it again. All right, let's think with me. 2x times what is 2x squared?
Why did you change the sign?
For the same reason that we subtract with long division. 14 times what is goes into 30. I would say 2, as you would. 2 times 14 is 28. And what's the next step? We subtract. So I take that positive 28, and what do I change it to? So I change the sign. So that subtraction idea carries through, but I don't subtract one of them, Grace. I subtract both of them. You just got to make sure you're subtracting both columns equally. All right, someone help me out. What's 2x times what is 2x squared?
X.
Just an x. All right, distribute for me. Somebody. X times 2x minus 1. 2x squared minus 1x. Go through and do what? Subtract. So that becomes a minus. That becomes a positive. How many x squareds?
0.
0. How many x's?
6.
6x. Bring down the 3. All right? Raise your hand if you know what goes at the top. Couple of us. Drew, what do you think?
The 3x. No, 3.
Do I put a plus 3 or minus 3? How did you get that? Talk me through it.
Because you find out what times 2x equals 6x.
What times 2x equals 6x, so a plus 3. It's important to put a plus there.
Yes.
So go ahead and multiply for me, Drew.
I get 6x.
Keep going.
And then 3 times 28 times 3.
Change colors.
Change the signs.
Is it okay to get 0? So my goal was to divide. So what is my answer? 2x squared plus x plus 3. What's the only thing you need to be wary of as we're looking at these? Placeholders, right? Has anything else changed? But if you were not to have that x squared, would you kind of crash and burn here? Yeah, because you wouldn't know what to do with your x squared. So you've got to have your placeholders. So let's analyze the next one. Is anything missing on number 2? An x cubed? So let's rewrite this. X to the 4th plus how many x cubed? 0 x cubed plus x squared plus x minus 3, all divided by x minus 1. Katie? Why didn't we? Because I wanted to teach you long division, starting without missing placeholders. All of the other ones had all the appropriate places. And so my first goal was to teach you just long division and that understanding that skill. And then today I wanted to kind of reinforce that. Practice more long division again, because I know some of us struggle with that. But that's okay to struggle the first time through. And I wanted to add in just this one piece about missing placeholders. So I thought it would be a good way to master the skill and add one tiny little part. Does that make sense? So the 0x cubed, that would be key. All right, let's start it off. Mr. Switek, x times what is x to the 4th?
What is the 4th?
I need some x's. If it helps, off to the side you can think, what is x to the fourth divided by x? X to the third. So that's what goes up top. Does that help? You can just kind of do a division problem off to the side. So we multiply x to the fourth, and then what's the second part? X cubed times negative 1. Go ahead. Thank you, Ryan. Negative 1x cubed. It's okay. All right, we go through and do what? Subtract, so change the signs. All right, what's left? Add them up. 1x to the third plus x squared. Sam, x times what is x to the third? X? X times x is x squared. We need to get x cubed.
X is third, or x is x squared.
X squared. If you're not sure, you can always take the bottom number, x cubed, and divide it by the divisor, which is x. And you think, what is that? That's x squared. All right, so let's multiply here. Go ahead, Haley, multiply for me. Good. Draw your line, change your colors, change your signs. How many x squareds do we have now? 2x squared. Bring down the x. Do it one more time. Justin, x times what is 2x squared? 2x. Go ahead and multiply, Justin.
So it would be 2x squared minus 2x.
Good. Change them. Keep going, Justin. You're doing fine.
So it would be negative 2x squared plus 2x.
That gives us,
3x. Right?
that's right. Bring down the 3. Keep on going. Abby?
3.
Good. Plus 3. Multiply for me, Abby.
3
Good.
minus 3.
Good. Keep going. You're doing fine.
And we change the signs.
0, right? What's the chance? On 2 problems we've gotten 0 as a remainder. Is that likely? Be nice, but honestly it's probably not. But it's possible. It's likely, but given the problems, maybe they're going to end up that way, but not the case. Josh?
Is there answers also supposed to have that standard square?
Say again?
Is there answer supposed to have that same idea where x cubed?
You're always going to go down in your problems. There might be a case where you have a 0 up there, but not likely. Very
It'll
unlikely.
always go from cubed.
Yeah, it'll always go down. Not always at cube. It might start at squared.
But it'll always go down the same one.
Yeah, it'll always go down. All right, let's look. Let's look. Katie, I did something different on this one. What do you notice about the front parentheses? Katie, your voice has gotten much deeper. If your voice has gotten deeper, then change your voice back to that normal, nice voice that you usually have. Huge. Okay, I messed up the order. Katie, can you put it in the right order for me? Okay, in the same way, what else order did I mess up? Did I mess up that as well? How should that be written?
3x plus 1.
3x plus 1. Okay, here we go. Noah, you comfortable on this stuff? A little, so-so, or a lot? So-so? All right, let's see if I can walk you through it. 3x times what is 9x squared? If you're never sure of this, think off to the side. What is 9x squared divided by 3x? Good, 3x. Jalon, question?
Why don't we have a 0x to the third?
Because we only need to start. So your question, why don't we have a 0x to the third? We only need to start with whatever the highest one is. If they started with squares, go squares and down. If they started us with cubes, go cubes and down. But the highest what they started us with was squared. Let me ask you to write a number for me, Jalon, and I'm going to come back to our number page. If I say write 27, Jalon, you write 27, right? Would you ever write this? And if I say write 315, you're not going to write this. True? So we're only going to start with the highest number that we're given. So in our case here, to answer your question, why do we start with squareds? Because that's the highest thing that we're given. So I'm never going to stick something on the front end. I'm just going to fill in things that are missing in the middle. That make sense? All right, so we keep going. So Noah gave us 3x. Drew, multiply for me 3x times 3x plus 1.
X squared. Then 3x.
Okay. Kyle, what's next? A little hint, I just changed colors.
Yeah. Change the signs.
All right, so that becomes a minus. That becomes a minus. Okay, so let's add them up. Mr. Acosta, how many x squareds? How many x's?
6x.
Okay, bring down the 4. Off to the side, let's think. What is negative 6x divided by 3x? How much? Negative 2. All right, multiply for me if you would, Abby. Negative 2 times 3x plus 1. Good. Change your pen, change your color, change your signs. Plus and plus. What's our number at the bottom? 6. What do I do with that? First time, we haven't had one of these in a while. Well, we don't need to add any more zeros. You remember what to do, Jalon?
You put 6 over 3x.
Okay, I do that. I need a sign in front.
Oh, awesome.
How do you know what that sign is? Whatever the sign is here. What's the sign right here? A positive, so that sign translates right up to there. Had that been a minus 6, you would have minus 6 over 3x plus 1. So whatever your remainder is, that's what's going to go up top. This is probably more common than what we did on the other ones, and having zeros. All right, let's look at our last one. Start me off. What's the highest one we have?
X cubed.
X cubed, so that's our first, x cubed. Do we have an x squared?
No.
So I stick in what?
0x.
Keep going, Jalon. Do I have an x?
Yes.
So I stick in an 8.
Plus 0.
You do. You do. Jalon says, do we do a plus 0? Why do I need that plus 0? It's the constant. It's like saying the number 20. How do you write 20? 2, 0. So you got to have a 0 there. All right? What's out front? X minus 1. All right, raise your hand if you know what the number that goes up here is. Curious how many know at this point, honestly. If you're not raising your hand, I'm going to assume that you don't know it. Most of us do. Okay, Grace, what would it be? X squared is right. You got it. Okay, multiply for me, Grace. Would you do that?
What do I multiply?
X squared times the x minus 1.
So x to the third.
Good.
Minus 1x squared.
Good. All right, Josh, going over to you. Yeah, you, Josh.
Just the fact that the x cubed automatically would be to the 4 squared.
Kyle, over to you.
Correct. So it would be 1x. Second.
Okay. Over to you, Drew.
Bring down the 8x.
Bring down the 8x. Over to you, Luke. What's next?
Times x equals x squared.
Okay. And what is that answer?
Yes.
All right. Sydney, over to you. You're a little ahead of me. Okay. So multiply, then subtract. Okay. Over to you, Tara. Okay, and? Good. Katie, over to you. Can you bring down a 0? Is that okay? All right. Abby, over to you. Did you say plus 9? Okay. Over to you, Ryan.
9x plus
Okay, minus 9. James, over to you. Okay, so we change those signs. Jump there. Back to you, Haley. So it would be 9. What 9? Positive 9. All right, Justin, what do I do with that plus 9?
You bring it up to the top and you put plus 9 over x.
Is it okay to have 2 9s there? Just happened to happen. No big deal. So on the back side, it's interesting, we had 2 problems with both remainders. On the front side, we had neither. Important idea today. When there's missing terms like 20, that's a 2, 0. If it's 307, 307. Start with your highest degree like Jalan emphasized and work down. And if there's anything missing, stick in 0x squared or 0x or 0. But don't add things on at the front end. Now, we need to write something else down here, okay? What else are we also having? Okay? And just so we're very clear, this is due when? Wednesday. So do half tonight, half tomorrow night. Which practice test? Let's also be very clear on that.
The yellow one.
The yellow practice test, okay? The yellow practice test. Make sense?